I want to start with something simple. The Master of Masters is weird. And not just in the way that Kingdom Hearts fans usually mean when they say that. We tend to treat his behaviour like personality, like he's just quirky, goofy, a little unhinged. The fun god, the chaos gremlin, the guy who talks in riddles because Nomura thinks that's funny. But I don't think that's what's happening here. I think the Master of Masters isn't being read wrong because he's mysterious. He's being read wrong because we're trying to interpret him like a person. And I don't think he's one. Here's the problem. Kingdom Hearts has trained us very well to read every character psychologically. Everyone is a kid with trauma. Everyone has a heart wound. Everyone's weirdness can be tracked back to loss, possession, memory damage, or some sort of dark exposure. But when the Master of Masters shows up acting unserious, we assume it's the same deal. That's just immaturity or cope. Or he's kind of has some long game mask. But that assumes that it only works if he's operating under the same rules as everyone else. And the more you look at him, the more obvious it becomes that he isn't. Let's talk about the concept of wisdom. In fandoms, there is this very narrow idea of what wisdom is meant to look like. Wise characters are stoic, measured, calm, Yoda coded. And when someone doesn't fit that mold, we assume they're either hiding something or not actually wise at all. But that's not how wisdom works in mythology. There's an entire category of figures who are ancient, powerful, and deeply informed, but also playful, theatrical, and annoying on purpose. Trickster gods, creator figures, narrative archetypes. They don't perform wisdom through seriousness, they destabilize systems by refusing to engage with them honestly. And that is the Master of Masters' lane. He doesn't give straight answers not because he doesn't know them, but because the straight answers would imply the rules still matter. Now, I get that this is where people usually jump to Sora. And I get it because the comparison almost works. Early Sora is playful, unbothered, emotionally open. He jokes largely through the danger. But here's the difference, and this matters. Sora is playful under consequence. As the series go on, we watch that change. He grows more serious, more resolved, more aware of cost. He resists adulthood, sure, but he's still shaped in a world that's pushing back at him. The Master of Masters, he doesn't push back, he doesn't escalate, he doesn't react emotionally when plans go wrong. He doesn't behave like someone who can lose. That's not Arrested Development, that's Exemption. And if this was just tone, I'd let that go. But then there's the coat. The single weirdest, quietest red flag in this entire characterization. He tells Xehanort that one day he'll master the darkness so completely that he won't need the coat anymore. And then in the same breath, he says he'll never take his own off because he's too much of a scaredy cat. That should set off alarms because if darkness were the threat, he wouldn't be afraid of it. If the coat was his invention, he would say so. Kingdom Hearts characters love explaining their own symbolism. He doesn't. Which means the coat protects against something that isn't just darkness. That something exists in the lane of betweens and the lanes of darkness. And that something the Master of Masters does not control. That joke isn't humour. That's deflection. Think about how rare that is in this series. Characters lie, characters mislead, but usually when they do so, it's with desperation, fear, or grief. The Master of Masters hides information the way architects hide scaffolding. Casually, without urgency, without emotional weight. That's not the behaviour of someone damaged by time travel. If it were, everyone would look like this too. But Xehanort isn't. Terra isn't like this. Aqua isn't like this. Riku, after everything he's been through, still experiences stakes. The Master of Masters doesn't act broken, he acts misaligned to his reality, and that's the key. We keep trying to diagnose him psychologically, but what if his weirdness isn't emotional? What if it's structural? What if he's not acting childish? He's acting as someone who exists outside of the story's feedback loop. Someone who knows which rules are real and which ones are just there to keep everyone else moving forward. This is why identity theories struggle here. Because if the Master of Masters was just a future version of someone we know, his behaviour would reflect that. But it doesn't. It reflects distance, not emotional distance, narrative distance, like someone watching a system they built continue to function, just badly. So here's the reframe. The Master of Masters isn't goofy. He isn't unserious. He isn't hiding wisdom behind jokes. He behaves like someone whose consequences are optional, but not non-existent. The quote proves that. There are things he fears. There are limits he respects. They're just not on the same ones as everyone else's. And that's what makes him dangerous. Not because he's evil, not because he's chaotic, but because he understands the structure of this story. And everyone else is still trapped inside it. If the Master of Masters looks strange, it's not because he doesn't care, it's because he knows which rules don't matter anymore. And once you see that, you stop asking who he is and you start asking what happens when someone like that decides to interfere.